Did Tom Lee just say don't worry about the stock market correction and pick up some of your favorite stocks? Let's take a look at this video of him explaining his reason why, and also why Tesla might be a buy.
One of your next guests says the markets will find their footing before April 2nd, when the reciprocal tariffs, at least for now, are set to take effect. Joining us now for more is Tom Lee. He is the head of research and founder of Fundstrat, also a CNBC contributor. Also joining us, Nancy Tangler, Laffer Tangler Investments CIO and CEO. Tom, listen, I understand it's a different White House. Every day we get a market-moving headline. A lot of people, I think, honestly, I'm just going to say it, they don't want to be neutral. They don't want to be data-driven. They want to be angry. I get that. But history says that markets will recover, right?
Yes, they've recovered every time. One thing we have to keep in mind is when markets fall this quickly from a 52-week high. I mean, just remember, less than a month ago, we were at all-time highs. That is a market pricing in a crisis. I'd say we're almost 50% pricing in a recession, and we're assuming there's no Fed put. Now, the Fed is in a position to cut rates. That really should mitigate the downside. And I do think two other things that investors have to keep in mind, because many people just want to get out until April 2nd, is number one, I do think there's a very high probability that a tariff solution happens before the next 3 weeks happens. And it's simple to see because China, Europe, Canada, Mexico, since April 18th, all of those countries have outperformed the U.S. I don't think that markets are that blind to say if Canada and Mexico are about to have a recession, they should outperform the U.S. And I think the second thing people should keep in mind is that when you have a global crisis brewing, and we highlighted like the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, that was a 12-day crisis, but the markets bottomed 7 days into the crisis. 5 days before that crisis ended, the market was already recovered 2/3 of the losses.
And that was only, Nancy, nuclear holocaust. I mean, that literally was, we're going to break the world in half with ICBMs. I mean, that was, compared to tariff worries and a slowdown in the economy because we might slap something on European wine or steel, seems very small now. That said, again, and I'm not saying the markets are going to recover next week. I don't know. We're talking about history, and I don't like to bring up politics, Nancy. It always makes me feel like I need a shower, but I will ask you this. How much of this correction that we are seeing do you think, 100%, 50%, 0%, is political, is man-made, is tariff-made?
It's funny you asked that, Brian. It's good to see you. If you look at the consumer sentiment numbers today, and I commend everyone to read Kelly's piece that she wrote this morning, but if you look at behind it by political party, what you see is that Democratic sentiment has not been this low, especially on expectations, ever. And so if you look sentiment overall by party, Democrats down from 91.4 all the way down to 41.4, while independents and Republicans are down somewhat but have held up. And then on expectations down from 28.2 down from 93.1 to 28.2. So that's driving some of these sentiment numbers that the market's keying off of. And I would just point out that the bond market is not panicking. And so this notion that we're going to go into recession because the Atlanta Fed GDP Now number was revised down, that was driven by imports. They were up 70% in January as purchasing managers trying to get in front of tariffs. So I think just like in 2022, this will all settle in. We are seeing decelerating growth, but that's good for many of the names that have been punished, the reliable earnings growers in technology and consumer discretionary and some financials even. So I think we will continue. This is a correction. We needed one. We get one every 12 months. And so now the question is, have we hit the bottom? Do we have a little more to go? But I don't think we're in a bear market.
I think Tesla might be a strong buy for the long term. If the stock keeps dropping, the board of directors might advise Elon Musk to step down as CEO for the better health of the company. This is just a temporary downturn, I think, that will then reverse in the near future. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, and thank you for tuning in, and see you next time. And don't forget to click on the link below for some free stock from Webull and Moomoo. Thank you.